Let's now talk about the identification of various thematic roles. It may look very simple apparently that which agent or which entity is performing which action in a certain sentence or action being described by a certain sentence. But in fact, sometimes this may be confusing because there has been a clear variation in the use of terms for various roles being performed by the main action of a verb. And we can see in this regard, we can see that the verbs like patient and theme, they are treated differently by different semanticists, but some semanticists also consider them the same or different labels for the same semantic roles. For example, Radford is one of those. In this regard, in order to avoid this ambiguity, various semanticists have identified various tests to identify certain semantic role. And we can see Jackendorf has also provided a test, and based on that test, let's try to distinguish between the following semantic roles. For example, actor and agent. Actor is a general term used for the doer of an action who performs a certain action, and agent is somebody who performs a certain action with his own choice or volition. So there is slight variation in the actual uses of these terms in various semantic books. If you just look at example 1 and 2 here, where the same action is being described differently in these two examples. If you look at the first example, it says Aslam took the book from Hafiz. And in the second example, we see Aslam received the book from Hafiz. Aslam is agent in the first example because he is taking the book from Hafiz with his own choice, with his volition. Whereas in the second example, we can see that Aslam is receiving the book, and he may be doing it by his own choice, volition, or not. We are not sure about it. So in first example, we can say that Aslam is clearly an agent. So we can see that, as I said a while ago, that agent is something who does an action by his own choice and volition, whereas actor is somebody. Actor is a more general term, and it includes somebody who performs, affects, or controls a certain action. Every agent is an actor, but not every actor is an agent, because there could be some actors who might be performing a certain action without their own volition, but agent is specifically the one who performs an action with his own choice. Actor can be seen, actor is not an animate entity. Usually, this is how we receive from various semanticists. Similarly, we have a distinction between patient and theme. Patient is one who undergoes an action, and there is a clear change in the state of this entity because of that particular action which is being mentioned by the verb. In comparison, we can see that theme is somebody who doesn't change his state. Rather, his location is changed as a result of a certain action. So there is a clear difference between these two roles. We can see the examples there. And as I said earlier, this movement can be literal or metaphorical. If you look at the examples there, Avas shattered the rock. Rock is shattered here, and there is a clear change of state in result of the action of shattering here. Avas throw the rock. In the act of throwing, the location of rock is changing, so we can see the role of theme is being identified here. But rock may not necessarily shatter, or its state is changed as a result of throwing it. So we can identify the role of theme here, whereas in the first example we can see it was the role of patient which was being, or which could possibly be discussed. Moving forward, there is a difference between instrument and force also. Sometimes a role force is usually is used instead of instrument for an inanimate entity which causes certain experience or which causes something. If you just look at the example here, the wind flattened the crops. The wind is flattening the crops. So there is definitely an experience. There is definitely a change which is being enacted here. So the instead of instrument in such situation, we will probably use the term force according to certain semanticists. Similarly, we can see the seawall was weakened by the waves. Again, we can identify the role of force here. And what is force here? The waves are force here. So in such situation, we can label the role as force instead of instrument. As on the surface, these roles may appear very simple and straightforward to be allotted in various by identifying various actions of the verb, but in fact, when we come down to practice them in reality, sometimes it becomes very difficult. This debate is unending so far. People are still arguing about the definitions and roles of various thematic cases or thematic roles, and many things about these roles are yet to be decided. So we can conclude by saying that the debate about the identification of various semantic roles is still ongoing.